Can I admit something I'm not proud of?
That depends. How serious are we talking?
The other day, my nephew knocked over a glass of juice. Before I even thought about it, I snapped at him. The moment the words came out, I froze. Because I sounded exactly like my dad.
That must have been unsettling.
It really was. I remember promising myself as a teen I'll never speak to my children like that.
It's strange, isn't it? As children, we notice everything our parents do that hurts us. We tell ourselves, when I grow up, I'll be different, and we genuinely mean it.
Yeah, we do. We do. But life has a way of putting us under pressure. And sometimes, pressure reveals habits we didn't even know we'd inherited.
Maybe that's why these moments are so unsettling. It's not just guilt. It's realizing that healing isn't automatic.
Can I be honest? I think almost everyone has had a moment like that. Maybe not the same situation, but that feeling of becoming someone you said you'd never become.
Why does that happen? Why do we repeat things we hated?
Maybe because nobody teaches us another way. We grow up watching love, conflict handled a certain way, and without realizing it, we carry those patterns into adulthood.
You know what amazes me? As children, we don't get to choose what's normal. Whatever happens in our home.
If nobody says I'm sorry soon, that's strength. If affection is rare, you begin to believe love is supposed to feel distant.
Until one day you visit another family and realize, wait, people actually talk things through?
In my family, nobody apologized, ever. If someone shouted, the next morning everyone acted as if nothing had happened. No conversation, no healing, just move on. So when I got older, do you know what I did? Exactly the same thing. I'd avoid difficult conversations because that's all I'd ever seen.
That's interesting, because people usually think generational wounds are always dramatic. Sometimes they're just ordinary habits that quietly hurt people. Mine wasn't shouting, it was silence. If someone was upset, they simply stopped talking. Sometimes for days. As a child, I thought silence meant peace. Later, I realized sometimes silence is just another way of avoiding.
I understand. That explains something. You don't like unresolved conversations.
Not anymore. I've learned that avoiding conflict doesn't remove it, it just postpones it. But isn't there a danger in blame everything on our upbringing? At some point, don't we have to take responsibility?
Absolutely. But understanding isn't the same as making excuses. Knowing where something came from doesn't mean you have to keep carrying it.
Can I ask something? Have you ever worried that if we spend too much time explaining our families, people might think we're blaming them?
I used to think that. But then I realized compassion and accountability can exist together. I can understand why someone acted the way they did and still decide that I don't want to repeat it.
I like that. Understanding gives us compassion. Responsibility gives us change. Maybe healing starts with one uncomfortable question. What am I passing on that I don't even realize I'm passing on?
That's a difficult question, because most people don't notice the pattern until someone else gets hurt.
Sometimes I wonder, how many family patterns begin with someone who never had the chance to heal?
Probably more than we realize. Hurt people often pass on survival, not because they're cruel, but because that's all they knew.
Can I ask everyone watching something? What's one habit you picked up from your family that you're trying to unlearn? It doesn't have to be something huge. Sometimes it's the smallest habits that shape us the most.
Have you noticed something? When one person changes, the whole family feels uncomfortable.
Because families develop rhythms, even unhealthy ones. And when one person steps out of rhythm, everyone notices.
That's why healing can feel lonely. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something different.
I think changing is harder than people imagine. Because when you stop doing what your family has always done, some people think you're rejecting them.
I know exactly what you mean. Or they say, that's just how this family is, as if nothing can ever change.
But every healthy family tradition started because someone chose a different way.
Maybe being the person who breaks the cycle isn't about proving your family was wrong. Maybe it's about giving the next generation something better.
I like that. Not criticism, a gift.
So where does someone even begin?
I think with awareness. The next time you react, pause. Ask yourself, is this really me? Or is this something I inherited? That one question might change everything.
You know, this conversation actually makes me appreciate people who choose to heal, because it's easier to repeat a pattern than to replace it.
Healing isn't only about recovering from the past. Sometimes, it's deciding the past doesn't get to write someone else's future.
Can I leave everyone with one question? If a child copied the way you handled conflict, would you be proud of what they learned?
That's probably the hardest question we've asked so far.
Same time next week?
Only if you're buying the coffee.